Yes, yes, yes. It is I, says me. And all who agree, I'm more than three because they weak. Yes, yo. I'm in the house for sure. I'm here to talk about the noise to men. We gonna put this down. That was my tribute to the Ghetto Boys, right? Bushwick Bill. If you don't know that song, go back. Go back. Check it out. That song's fire. Anyway, so what's up, people? You know who it is. You know what it is. It's the Real Rich Bees, right? We back again. And we're just going to go ahead and jump in this topic, right? We're jumping in this topic today, and it's based on the topic we did yesterday, okay? And so, what topic is that? Y'all know, because yesterday we talked about focus, right? That's what we talked about. We had a whole stream talking about focus, what it is, what it takes, all that kind of stuff, right? What does it look like to be focused? That's what we talked about yesterday. And so today, I figured that if we talked about focus yesterday, then we need to understand. And I know you saw the title, right? You saw the title. You probably got the notification. At least I hope you got the notification. But what we're trying to figure out now is if that's the case, that we have to be focused, right? We have to keep our eye on the path. We have to really take a look at um all of the things that are getting us defocused, right? Because we're not supposed to be defocused. We're supposed to stay focused. We're supposed to look at the path, look at the goal, right? Aim for that mark and keep pushing. That's what we're supposed to do. However, today is a little bit different because what I want to talk about, if the topic yesterday was um, focus is a superpower, then a superhero, which is you're the superhero, there is always an arch enemy, right? If there's a superhero, then there's got to be an arch enemy. Because why do you need a superhero? You don't need a superhero, you don't need a superpower if there's nothing that goes against it, right? Because then a regular average person can actually deal with it, right? But to be focused is having a superpower, right? Especially in this world we live in today. Having focus is a superpower. Okay, we established that yesterday. We didn't really get to the fact that it's a superpower. However, what you'll figure out is it is a superpower, the ability to see the goal, to see the path, and block out the noise, right? But today, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about the actual noise. What is it, right? Because the noise is the enemy, the antithesis to focus. Okay, so that's what we'll be talking about today. We're gonna really get into it and we're gonna figure out like what is this noise all about. Okay, this is something I was thinking about because I'm like, we have to know that focus is not just about concentration because you can concentrate on something, and some people they can concentrate on something for a long time. They can sit there, head down, and concentrate. It is what it is, right? But the truth is, focus is more about knowing what it is that let me say it this way. Focus is more about knowing what deserves your attention and what does not. To me, that's how I see focus, right? Because yes, concentration is a form of focus, but understanding what doesn't deserve your attention is the key to getting through the noise. Okay? So most people will try to focus without first identifying the noise. They don't understand the noise, so they don't know what is trying to, or excuse me, what doesn't deserve their attention. They don't know. Because you remember in the example that I gave yesterday, I was talking about I could be sitting here on live, I could be talking to you guys and all that kind of stuff. And then I hear a noise outside. It might be loud, it might be a sound that I've never heard before in from where I'm at, and I ends up catching my attention, right? And so I end up looking, or I end up, getting a knock on the door. Oh, all of these things start to get your attention. And I told you a lot of things in this world are fighting for your attention because your attention is valuable, right? Your attention is valuable. So if you don't define the noise, everything feels important. Everything feels like I need to handle it. I got to take care of it. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how it goes. So in this, how we do on this channel, because we're talking about noise, the very first thing we're going to do is what? Y'all know. We're going to look it up, right? We're going to look it up. You can get in the chat, if you have another definition, because I really want to ask y'all, what I'm saying? What is noise to you? What does noise mean to you? And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to actually go to the desktop because I would love to see y'all's, but I'm going to go ahead to the desktop so that way we can look it up together and see what the actual definition is. Okay, so let's do that. Bam. We're on the dictionary, right? This is where we go. You know how we do. So let's type in noise, right? Let's figure out what noise is. Boom, noise. Pronounced noise. So it's a noun. Sound, especially of a loud, harsh, or confused kind, right? Okay. A sound of any kind. Interesting. So a sound of any kind can be noise. All right. Loud shouting, outcry, or clamor. That sounds like a noise to me. A non-harmonious or discordant group of sounds. So you know how somebody hits a bad chord, that just sounds like noise. You know what I'm saying? It's an electrical disturbance in a communication system that interferes with or prevents reception of a signal or of information. That's interesting. Electrical disturbance. I like this second half though, right? That interferes with or prevents reception of a signal or of information. Okay. Informally, we're talking about extraneous, irrelevant, or meaningless facts, information, statistics. That's getting even closer, right? Because we're talking about noise. And I can see that. Can y'all see that? I can see that. We're talking about irrelevant, meaningless facts, information, statistics. That can all be noise, right? Rumor or gossip, especially slander. That's noise, right? Usually, noise is a statement or utterance that hints at or expresses a feeling or intention, especially without action being taken. Especially without action being taken. Right? So if a person expresses a feeling or an intention with no action, it's noise. It's noise. Are we getting it? Yeah, are we on the same page? Right? Because remember, we need to be on the same page so that way we can build upon the understanding. Right? And we talked about that. We have to be on the same page. That way we can build understanding. Okay? Once we have a level understanding of what this term is, then we can get to the next, we can build on top of that and we can gain understanding, right? So here's the definition that I'm thinking about, right? I heard those definitions and I like those definitions because that is exactly what noise is. And because I used to be, well, no, not used to be, I still am, but I don't do it as much now because I'm so busy. But I do have my ham radio license, right? Ham radio is amateur radio, and amateur radio we have, we have like, ham radios. We have walkie-talkies and things like that, right? They call them handy talkies. They call them HTs. We also have base stations, and we also have other, radios of different types. Okay. Digital radios and analog radios and all that kind of stuff, right? And in those radios, the only way that you can have a clear communication between two sides is to have a high signal, or excuse me, a low signal to noise ratio. So basically, your signal has to be higher than the noise floor, right? Whatever that noise floor may be. Because if the noise is this high and your signal is this high, you're not going to hear this. You're not going to hear this signal, right? All you're going to hear is static, right? All the noise. What you have to do is turn that around, right? Reduce the level of noise or boost the signal. Two ways to handle it, right? Either decrease the level of noise so you can get under the signal, or you boost the signal to get over the noise. Those are really the only two ways around it, right? Because noise is going to exist. When you look at the planet has its own noise, right? Your house, it has its own noise. If you think about it, and we had this stream before where we talked about um um when it snows, right? Have you ever noticed how quiet it is? How quiet it is when it snows? When it snows, the silence is crazy. Why? One, because the snow is covering the ground, right? It's covering the ground. Once it covers the ground, it stops traffic, right? You don't hear cars and stuff going around. Most likely people aren't going outside, right? So basically majority of the sounds that are loud enough that adds noise to an environment is gone, right? Even when you go into the wilderness, right? Into the outback or whatever. If it snows, it's super quiet because all life forms stop really moving when it snows, right? When the snow is really coming down and then it finally settles before the sun really comes out, it is so quiet, right? When you're in your house and you sleep at night, if you live in that house, you know the noises of the house, right? If you have a somebody over or a stranger or somebody, when I say stranger, maybe a friend, okay, maybe a family member, but they don't live there, right? When you have them over, they don't know what the sounds of the house are. They don't know what the sounds of the environment are. So to them, they hear all of these noises, right? Their focus, their attention is being drawn to every noise, especially in the middle of the night, right? So if you fall asleep and you're in a new place, say you got a new house, say you got or you got a new apartment or something like that. The first like maybe couple weeks that you stay there is gonna feel weird. Why? Because there's new sounds that you're not used to, right? There's new noises that are drawing your attention. You don't know at that moment what's a noise that deserves your attention, or a noise that is just the environment. And so you're trying to figure those things out. And after a couple of nights, after a couple of times of sleeping, and you start to know what these noises are, they become continuous, or they do it at the same times, or certain things you realize, oh, that's just the air conditioning coming on, or oh, that's just the wind outside, right? Because you start to understand what the noises are in that environment. It's these noises, though, that can get you distracted, right? And they do at first until you become accustomed to it. And then they become where you don't even hear it anymore. Do you realize how many people, you know, have a smoke detector beeping in the back of their videos, or a smoke detector beeping, when people come over and stuff? And the people that are new to that house are coming in and they're like, are you going to fix that smoke detector? You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got a battery? I'll fix it, right? Because it's annoying to them, right? It's a noise that they know shouldn't exist, right? And the person who lives there don't even hear it anymore. They're immune to that noise because they lived in that environment long enough. It's been doing it for so long, it doesn't even mean anything to them. You know what I mean? It doesn't draw their attention. They're able to focus on the things that matter because that is not something that matters to them. However, that is something that you need to take care of. So if you have a smoke detector right now that's beeping in the back of your videos or just regularly throughout the day, get that fixed. Go get you a 9-volt battery, get you a step stool, and get up there and change that battery. ASAP. If you ain't doing that, listen, okay, I'm not going to give you any or else's. Listen, just go do that, please. It's for the greater good, especially if you're making videos, right? Get that fixed. If you out there role playing, because we on Twitch, if you out there role playing in games and you got your smoke detector going boop in the background, go get that fixed. Go handle that today. Go on BRB and go get you a 9-volt battery and change that thing. Please. The community will thank you. Appreciate you. Let's continue. All right. So, based on the things that I said, what you found out is noise is not always bad things, right? That's where we came to the conclusion of noise is not always bad things. Sometimes it's a good thing, right? Some noises are actually notifications that let you know, hey, it's an emergency, right? AKA the smoke detector when you do have a good battery in it because it needs to work. You know what I'm saying? So when that noise goes off and it's blah, blah, it's blaring super loud, it's a noise, but it's a noise that is supposed to draw your attention. It's a noise that's supposed to get you to get up and figure out if it's actually a fire or whatever and to get yourself to safety. Okay? Same thing. When I used to live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was tornadoes are all the time. Tornadoes are consistent in Oklahoma. So when you hear the siren go off and it's loud, you got to get up, get into your safe place, get to the lowest floor, get to the center of a building. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself into a safe place because you probably have less than 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? That means there's probably a tornado that has touched down somewhere near you or is about to touch down. And so you need to get to the safe place, right? So this is why I'm saying, like, these are just some examples of noise that aren't necessarily bad noises. Those are noises that it should get your attention. It should make you have to, be startled, be alarmed, right? That's why they call it an alarm, because you should be alarmed, right? You should be doing something about it, right? That deserves your attention immediately. Okay. Now, here's some examples of some things that are stealing your attention. Okay. What do we have? We have things like constant notifications, right? One notification that I get a lot is Discord. Discord is a constant notification that just keeps going. So what I need to do and what I'm going to do. So like I said, when I'm talking to you, it's not just for you, it's for me too. What I need to do, because it is annoying, is turn that thing off. Turn off notifications for Discord, or at least limit them. Like limit how many they are and maybe even limit the time because it's just too many. It's too many. I actually feel like it's out of control. Okay. Not to mention, I probably don't even want to know half the things of the groups that I'm in within Discord. I probably don't want to know half of it, but it is still a constant notification. So I need to handle it. That's something that's stealing my attention because every time it goes off, I'm looking up, right? I'm looking for it. I see the notification. I'm like, oh, shoot. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing I need to even tend to. It's not important to me, right? The other thing is, like when you scroll on social media, right? Majority of the things you're going to see on social media, no matter what, is noise. Right? It's nothing that you really need to handle. It's nothing that you really need to even see, especially when you have a goal, right? Here's something. Here's something that steals your attention, and that is noise. Other people's emergencies, right? Other people's emergencies. Just because you have an emergency doesn't make it an emergency for me. Just because you didn't plan effectively doesn't make it an emergency for me, right? And I told you before, I do audiovisual production and design and development, right? Not to mention I build apps that are separate from my company, but I've made companies out of those, right? So What am I saying? What I'm saying is, if a person has a lacks planning, right? Then for them, what they're trying to get me to do in such a short amount of time is because they failed to plan, right? Or if they plan, they didn't plan effectively. So that in turn becomes noise for me. Why? Because they're like, oh, we need to get it done as soon as possible. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Rich, we got to get this. I need this in like a day. Like for me, that's your emergency. It's not mine, right? If I agree to get it done within that time, meaning I can actually do that job in a short amount of time, then maybe I'll do it, right? But I will charge more, right? I'll charge a fee for that fast turnaround. So, in that though, what I'm getting across is that other people's emergencies aren't your emergency, right? It's a difference when it's like a health thing, right? If somebody's having some kind of health crisis and they sprawled out on the floor, that's an emergency that if you can help, help. Call 911, go over there, if they're shaking and stuff, you might want to, throw a wallet in their teeth or whatever so they don't bite their tongue. Like, you know what I mean? Like do something to help the situation. Okay. But that's a health emergency, right? But an emergency that has nothing to do with one, you, two, the thing that you do, or three, something that is important to you, it's not an emergency, right? It's not an emergency. It's noise. It's trying to steal your attention, right? If you do have a job that you're going and you're posting things on social media because you're trying to get more eyes on what you do or what you've built or something like that, what can be noise also is random people's opinion, right? You have already set a goal. You have already made a plan to achieve that goal, right? And now you've gotten to a point that you've started down the path. Other people are talking because they hear, because you've said, you've pitched, or you've shown, or you've put it out there that this is the thing I'm doing. Some people don't know anything about the thing that you're doing. They just have an opinion. They don't even have any background in the thing that you're trying to get across. They just have an opinion. If that's the case, that's a random opinion, which is noise. That's noise. It means nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? Unless they can show that they have some sort of background in it, some sort of way to help with it, right? Maybe an investor or something like that. If it's not that, if it doesn't fit in your circle, it's noise, right? Here's some noise that's internal. How about this? Here's a noise that's internal. A noise that's internal is if somebody has FOMO, right? If you have FOMO, which if you know what that means, fear of missing out, right? If you have FOMO, that too can be noise, right? Because I told you, you had a goal, you had a plan. But now your people coming to you talking about, yo, we about to go out. You know what I'm saying? We about to hit the spot. We about to hit the strip club. You know what I'm saying? We about to hit the block. Whatever that is, right? Now you like, oh man, I'm gonna miss a good time. Man, they about to be having fun. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's a concert. Man, that's I need to go to a concert, man. I need to pop out on them. You know what I'm saying? I done made a little bread. I gotta come out. I gotta show them what I got. You know what I'm saying? I gotta show them, show my chains. I gotta pull out my grill. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. That's still noise because you have to realize that it's a fear, right? You're acting based on a fear of I don't want to miss what they're doing. I don't want to miss. I don't want to have to hear it yet tomorrow. I want to be a part of it, right? But it still does. But it goes against your plan. It goes against what you said that you would do, right? It can also take away from your ability to achieve the deadline that you set for in your plan. You know what I'm saying? So you can't operate based on the fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is an internal noise. The option can come to you, right? Hey, you want to go out, right? Or hey, we going out. You gonna join us, right? It's still a question. You have an option. And if you choose to follow it, it's based on fear of missing out versus it being the ability for you to reach your goal, right? You didn't stick to your goal. You didn't have the discipline to say no and to go to your goal. You succumb to the noise. Your signal was lower than the noise floor. Your signal, supposed to be up here, is lower than the noise floor. So all of this is strictly putting you further and further and further away from your goal, right? Here's another one. And this is something that if you're in part of a couple, right? If you got a partner, you may deal with. Okay? What is that? Oh, oh, were you about to say it? Okay. Emotional drama, right? Emotional drama. Right? You have your partner and oh, we gotta, oh, you never, oh, all of this stuff, right? Now, here's what I'm saying, and hear me when I say this. I'm not saying that taking away from your spouse time, taking away from your, quality time with your spouse is is what I'm telling you to do. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because that's not necessarily emotional drama. Okay. But getting caught up in between two people, two partners, right? Basically putting yourself in multiple relationships. That's going to come with emotional drama, right? If you are not really seeing the uh, uh, benefit of planning for the quality time, right? You're going to get into a place of emotional drama. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. Because when you make your goals and you set your plans, you have to include time, right? Include time for of quality for if you're married, your spouse, if you're a fiance, your fiance, if it's boyfriend, girlfriend, you still got to make time for them, right? Because a relationship only exists when you can spend time together. You know what I'm saying? Now that doesn't mean time in the same place. That may for some people they have long distance relationships. So what that time looks like might be just sitting on the phone with them, right? What that time might be like is making sure that you're messaging them regularly. You know what I'm saying? All of these things stave off, block out the emotional drama, which is noise, right? So this is the reason why I'm saying, like, when you set your plan for your plan, put some plan in there, pockets, if you will, for your relationship. Because if you miss that, you will get into emotional drama, and it'll be hard for you to continue on your plan. It'll be hard for you to reach your goal when you're dealing with a lot of emotional drama. And I don't think people realize how much of noise that creates within a human. If you have emotional drama and you're dealing with a lot of that, it is so detrimental to your building your business, to building your company, to being successful. And that's the reason why a lot of people who make considerable amounts of money or have reached a high level of success, it's one of two things. It's one or two ways. And to me, it seems like these are the only two ways you can really do it and then be able to keep it and grasp hold of it. And I'm talking about success. Okay. One is that you never have a relationship. You choose to be single and you are just single. You will never have a relationship. I'm not getting a boyfriend, girlfriend. There's never going to be nothing serious. Never, ever, never, ever, never. You basically have become, what do they call it? Um, celibate, right? Celibate or something like that. right? If you're female, you become basically, a nun, right? Where I don't want it, right? I don't want it. I want success more than I want relationship with any human, okay? The other way is to find the person, get married. Find your person, get married, and do that early. Fast as you can. Fast as you can. Fast as you can and settle that issue. Because if you have someone, there's things that you don't have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? There's things that you don't have to worry about because you have someone. If you don't have anyone, you don't have to worry about none of it, right? So, but if you have someone, you just have to make sure that you're building in that quality time. You're building in, birthdays and anniversaries and things like that into your plan strategically. But when I say there's things that you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about, that I got to go find me a new person. I got to go, tonight I'm feeling lonely. I need to find somebody else I can chill with, right? Because that's taking mental space from you dealing with your goal, dealing with your family, dealing with your goal, dealing with your family. You shouldn't have to be like this right here and you're trying to figure out and you're trying to get a routine and you can't really get a routine because you around here doing all of this and all of that. You know what I'm saying? That, that's not gonna work for success. It's not gonna work. It's too much noise, too much emotional drama. And it's not always emotional drama that's coming at you. It's emotional drama that's inside. It's what you feeling. Cause you feeling like something's not right. You feeling like something it don't feel good. Like, I still got to talk to this person. Oh, I still got to talk to this person. You know what I'm saying? Now you're making quality time for two, three people. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to make sure people don't cross paths. You're trying to make sure that you ain't got no, text coming in when you with this other person. It's too much drama. Too much. So I'm telling you now, find your person. If you want somebody, find your person and go ahead, tie the knot, and keep it pushing. Keep it pushing because that's the only way you're really going to get to success with the least amount of emotional drama as possible. And as long as you make sure that you're doing the things to keep your spouse happy. Okay. Now you can't make them happy, but you can do things that can provide her happiness or him happiness, right? Genderless, depending on what your, you know, proclivity is. Now, uh, boy, y'all got me. I was going somewhere with that. I got it. I think we hit that good, but I feel like there's something else I was gonna say about that. Mm, my bad, chat. So here we go. There's one more though. One more that I'm thinking about, which is comparison. That's noise too, right? If you see somebody else got something and you like, yo, I gotta get that, oh, they got the new Bugatti, I gotta get that, you know what I'm saying? Oh, they got the new, GT3 RS or something, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I gotta get that. Oh, I gotta get that new Tesla. Everybody got that. I gotta get me one, you know what I'm saying? Because if everybody got, I gotta at least have one. That's like fear of missing out, but that's also comparison, right? I don't have this. What do they got? What did they do to get that? You know what I'm saying? That you're playing a comparison game. You know what I'm saying? If you keep playing the comparison game, you're adding noise into your ability to stay focused. That's the reason why you can't. I'm trying to stress to you at this point that all of this stuff is noise. All of this stuff gets you defocused, right? I don't think yesterday when we talked about focus that I really, really drilled this in. And that's why I'm going so hard today. Because I realized that. I realized, you know what? I didn't really cover what exactly noise is, right? What exactly are the things that get you defocused? You know? Because it if you know what it is, if you can identify what the noise is, if you can identify what actually deserves your attention, you can get to success relatively easy as long as you got your plan, right? And success looks different from everybody. So when I say success, I'm not saying, oh, you're a millionaire, oh, you're a billionaire, or I'm not saying, you got all the this or all of that. Success looks different for everybody. Depends on what you structured in your plan, right? What was your goal? What was your plan to get there? Because if you look at what the goal for you might not be all of that. Your goal might just be, I want to put out an album, right? I want to put out an album. That might be your goal, right? You have a plan to do that. Does it take work? Yes, because it takes a lot of work to put out an album. Here's the thing. And you know what? I might as well drop this on you. So really soon, really soon, because I started on it yesterday. Okay, yesterday I started on actually writing the first song on my new album. That I was writing the lyrics. I got the first verse for it. At this point, but I don't have any music yet. I didn't really do the rest of the things yet, but I did start writing the lyrics. Okay. Now, these lyrics will probably change once I get a beat to it, right? Once I figure out the beats I want and all that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sure all my lyrics could change. However, what I normally do when I'm writing an album is I'm going to write all my songs, right? I'm going to write all my songs a lot of times before I even do the beat. Sometimes when I make a beat, I get new lyrics come to my mind, and then I basically scrap it. But the thing is, the original lyrics that I write for each song, it's what I'm thinking based on the concept of the album, even before I hear music, right? And about, I want to say, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 60% of the time, those lyrics are going to change, right? 60% of the time, those lyrics are going to change. But the thing is, I've written out the concept. I've gotten an understanding of what I'm trying to bring. Basically, I wrote the plan, right? Because I wrote the plan, I know where I'm going when I'm making the music. I know what kind of music I'm looking for to get this point across, right? The way that I get to the point based on the lyrics might change. But the point is that I understand what the concept is and what I'm going for. If I don't do that, then now I'm just making beats and I don't know you know, what's going to help me get this point across. Okay. So again, I started writing the first verse. I wrote the first verse of the first song, and I think the first song. I mean, the first song is only going to have one verse. Okay, because that's the intro song. I'm starting to write song two, but the reason why I'm telling you this is because coming up soon, once I have all my lyrics ready, at least the first draft of them, I'm gonna start making the music. And I feel like what I want to do is I want to do that live with you guys. Okay. So that way you'll see the fact that the lyrics are gonna change, right? We'll try to say the lyrics that we have, but then we'll figure out the other lyrics. And I'm gonna record it live. I'm gonna record it live right here with you guys being able to see the process of my fifth album number 5, right? So because it's the number 5, I'm asking that you all give me grace. Okay, give me grace. Why? Because 5 is the number of grace. Give me grace because I'm gonna do it live. Okay, so I need y'all to give me grace because this gives you a back door into my process, right? You get to see literally how I'm doing it. You get to see, you know, bad songs where I may end up having to make like, you know 20 beats, 30 beats just to get 12 songs. And right now I'm shooting for 12 songs on this next album, but I might have to make somewhere like 30 beats to try to do that. You know, I might have to remake a song 3 times before it's the actual song that I'm going to put out. Maybe it might be more. It just depends, right? Depends on whether I'm feeling it, depending on whether I'm trying to force the song, right? But the key that I'm getting to is to block out the noise, right? Block out the noise so that way you can get to the plan. And if I've made the plan, right? Because I'm telling you part of it right now, which is I'm gonna stream live me making this music. However, even in that, I already have time blocked off for time to spend with my family, time to spend with my wife, time to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like all these other things, I've already scheduled that in. So that way, when it doesn't feel like I'm all over the place and I can't get nothing accomplished. You know what I mean? I can't really focus because, oh shoot, I forgot I got this. I forgot I got that. This means you have to organize. You have to keep it with your plan. You have to structure it in a way that you've already accounted for majority of the things that can happen, or the things that do happen, or the things that you know is going to happen. You've already scheduled that in. You've already built that into your plan, right? So that way you can be effective every time that you sit down to do the thing, whatever the thing is. It might be fixing your car. You might want to get, you have a car that you want to work on and get it up to like maybe a show car or a race car or something, and you got to put time into it, right? That might be your goal. Plan that, but don't plan that in a way that I'm just gonna like lock in. I'm only gonna be do that. That's not life. Life has other things that are gonna happen, right? And not all of it is noise. Some of it is because you agreed to it, right? Like when you get married, you agreed to that marriage. Now you got to do something about it, right? You can't just put it on autopilot. That don't work. So that's why I'm saying some of it's noise. You have to know what deserves your attention and plan for that, right? And sometimes, like, for instance, say right now we're live. If my partner comes in, right? If my daughter comes in, right? You're gonna be on BRB faster than it might be in the middle of my sentence. In the middle of my sentence, I'd be right back. Why? Because they deserve my attention. Don't matter what I'm doing. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Be right back. Why? Because I'm prioritizing them. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's how it should be. Okay? So, no, what I'm saying is, and when I say no, KNOW, that's a fact of life. You have to organize, you have to prioritize based on your goal, based on your responsibilities. Okay? So, if you don't take anything else away from this, know that. Based on your goal, based on your responsibilities, that's how you set your plan. Okay? All right. Now we're gonna move on to the next part. We're gonna move on to the next part. And I think at this point we've already really got the gist of what noise is, right? And we talked about several different types of noise, but I'm going to go deeper into one of them, okay? Because we're talking about being the best version of ourselves, right? That's what this whole channel is about. Being the best version of yourself. Me being the best version of myself. And so to do that, the noise we're gonna zoom in on, right? If we were to like, take two fingers and zoom in on an image, right? Because we talked about like social noise, we talked about, digital noise, we've talked about what was that other noise? Environmental noise, right? The one that we want to really zoom in on is internal. Okay? Internal noise. Because this is the noise that will make you not do the thing. Right? To be honest, this is the noise that will make you not do the thing. What is that noise? What does that look like? Right? Internal noise. What does that look like? That looks like self doubt, right? Where you feel like you're not good enough to do it. You feel like you're not good enough to have it, right? You feel like you can't do it. I can't do that, you know? And those are two things, those are two words that should never go together. I and can't. Those two things should never go together, right? Because you can do all things. The Bible says through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. And I believe that. But I also believe you have to watch your words, right? And so you can do it. I believe you can. I believe you can. And you should believe you can. And in this moment, you could even say, I can. I can. Right? It doesn't matter what the parentheses fill in the blank on the end of that statement. Doesn't matter what that is. Just keep saying to yourself, I can. Yes, I can. I can. I can. right? If you really want to get into it, you can say your name. Rich can do it. Rich can do it. Rich will do it. Put your name there. Say your name with it, right? Because you can. It doesn't matter what it is, you can. There may be some things you have to learn. There may be some things that you have to try, right? Before you might can actually do it. But the point is, it's the mindset behind it. Because if you keep saying that you can't, that's noise. That's noise because that's self-doubt. You're doubting yourself. You're doubting whether you can do it or not. You're doubting if it's even possible to be done, probably. Right? There's things that I thought, I showed y'all on the stream the app that I built, right? That was the first app of that magnitude that I built. Never did it before. And at no time did I ever say I couldn't do it. At no time. No time. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know, the best way to do it. But I believed I could do it. And it turns out I did it. Right? It turns out I did it. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing that you got to understand. That's the thing you have to wrap your head around, is the fact that you can do it. You can do it. It just, if anybody has ever done it, you can do it too. Right? You just have to be willing to create a plan for it and be willing to figure it out. Okay? So that internal noise of self-doubt, we need to stop it right now. Self-doubt, don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself, because I'm pretty sure you can do more than you even think you can. And most people can. Actually, all people can do more than they think they can. And a lot of times people just never try, right? People just never try. So the next one, when you talk about internal noise, is people saying that, we're not saying, but they just don't do. They just don't do. Why? Because they're overthinking it, right? Well, I'm still kind of working out the plan on that. I'm still trying to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? You already got a 12-page plan. You know what I'm saying? What more thinking you got to do about it? Because sometimes you just need to start. Because as I said, even with the album, right? With the album that I said I'm gonna do live, same thing, right? I thought about it. I tried to figure out, okay, first, what's the concept, right? And I was like, okay, I got about 2-3 working concepts that I feel like could go for this next album. Okay, cool. Which one do I feel like fits where I'm at in my life right now? Right? Like, I started taking inventory of myself, and I'm like, okay, boom, okay, I got it. Right? I figured out what the theme, if you will, of this one. Right? Came up with a working title of the song. I mean, of the album. Then I was like, well, what type of songs go with this title? Right? Worked it out. Okay, cool. Now write the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Don't make no sense to wait. Don't make no sense to overthink it. You just follow the flow. You know what I'm saying? Follow the flow. That'll help you not overthink it. Because when you start overthinking it, like, you probably won't even do it. Right? Because I feel like that kind of builds on the top of self-doubt. Right? If you're overthinking it, you know, it's almost as if you feel like the task is too big. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can't feel like the task is too big. It's not. You just got to break it down in smaller pieces. And we talked about that before. Right? Any task can be overcome if you break it down in small enough chunks. Right? You know the saying, how can you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Same way you eat anything else. It don't matter how big it is. It's only one bite, one step. And it might take a lot of you might have to step a lot. You might have to do some high stepping, you might have to do some low stepping, you might have to do some two stepping, however you do it. It might be a lot of steps, but those are steps you're going to have to take if you're going to hit the goal, right? And you might not be able to even plan for all of that. But you can do the first draft of a plan. and then start, right? That was the same thing that we were talking about before, right? Like it's just start. Don't overthink it. Do something. That's how you overcome procrastination, right? Because procrastination and overthinking to me kind of go together. They kind of come from the same place, right? It's a place of this task is too big. I feel like I need more, like I don't have enough to do it. You know what I'm saying? And if you think that way, then you're starting to get into overthinking versus, well, what can I do right now? Based on what I want, based on the goal, based on the plan, based on this first step, what in that first step can I do? And do that. Because that first step will lead to a second step. That second step will lead to a third step, right? And then you might mess around and start skipping. And then you might mess around and start running. And then you might mess around and start jumping. Like, you know what I mean? And then you jump in steps. Not that you need to jump steps, but I'm just saying that you're making progress even faster. Okay? And then one of the next things that internal noise, one of the next type of internal noises that you may deal with, is fear of judgment, right? If you think about it, fear of judgment. That's saying to yourself that people aren't gonna like this, right? People are gonna say this is whack. People are gonna talk about me. People are gonna go to other people and tell them that I don't know what I'm doing or this ain't no good or something like that, right? They haven't even seen it, heard it, experienced it yet, and you already have prejudged, right? Prejudge what the outcome is going to be, what other people were going to think. And in the mode of creation, when you're going for a goal and you're trying to build something, judgment can't be the thought. Judgment can't be, don't let judgment give you paralysis from doing the thing. And just because the people who, may be close to you judge you, that doesn't mean everybody else is. We had that conversation and I said that there's what, close to 8 billion people on this planet. There's over 330 some million people in the US, right? And I want to say it's like 90 million of them. I want to say it's around 90 million to 100 million of them are adults. Okay? So that means they're doing something too. Even if you got 1% of that to like what you are doing, that's still what? 1 million? 1 million people who like your idea. If every one of those 1 million people gave you $1, you would have $1 million. That's only getting 1% of the population to like what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, what I'm trying to get at here is don't worry about the judgment, right? Because if I worried about the judgment, I would have never put out my music. I would have never put out my music because there's not everybody's gonna like it. So that means it ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like my music, it ain't for you. That doesn't mean you don't like me as a person. That just means you don't like the music I make. Because you don't know me. You know? If fear of judgment was a thing for me at this point, I wouldn't be here on live with y'all. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to this camera, talking to the chat. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it. Right? Because people could judge me and say, oh man, that man don't know what he talking about. Oh man, that man ain't got he don't know nothing about this. You know what I'm saying? Or look at his hair. You know what I'm saying? He over here with all these locks. This ain't even cute. You know what I'm saying? Why he in here? Where's bare? Why he got a bare wall? What's this purple color? What's this purple blue color? What is this? Why he got his background like that? You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's whack. You know what I'm saying? People can say whatever they want. People can say whatever they want. It's just noise. It's noise. And I I cannot let that stop me from being the best version of myself. I cannot let that stop me from doing the things that I want to do based on the goals and the plans that I've set forward. I can't let any of that stop me. I have to just keep going, right? I can't. I told y'all don't put I and can't together, but this is the exception of that, right? Like, I am not going to deal with the noise. Nope. I overcome it, right? Some people have to deal with the thing of perfectionism, right? Like everything has to be perfect before they can do it. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be amazingly, you know, pristine. Every line has every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and it has to be done a certain way, and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Perfectionism, no, it's not going to help you get to your goal. Perfectionism is not going to help you get to your goal. Remember, I told you before. I told you look in the thing that says good enough, right? How good is good enough? I think that's the name of the episode. Go look at that, right? Because all you have to do is get to about 75, 80%, right? 85 at best. That's good enough. Let that bad boy fly. Let it go. Put it out there for the public. Let them decide whether they want to use it or not. Right? And remember, there's a lot of people to choose from, especially if you're putting it on a worldwide platform. You got the world to choose from that can choose to like your thing, whatever that widget is. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's probably somebody right now who's looking for that thing that you have a dream to build, that you have a goal to build, that you've created a plan to build. There's somebody looking for it. So it doesn't have to be perfect. They just want the thing, right? And if you make it better over time, they're going to stay with you because they're going to see continuous improvement, right? That's how I think about even on this channel. And I've told y'all this before. When I started it off, I didn't have all this stuff. Matter of fact, I started off with a blank one. There was nothing in here. I didn't have no logos. I didn't have no nothing. It was me and my phone, and I'm talking. Now I can switch channels. I can switch cameras. I got speakers. I got lights. Like, I got all this stuff, right? But I didn't start off here. I got good enough with the idea in my head of what I wanted to do, and I let that bad boy fly. Let's go. Let's just spark it up. We'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And I've committed to do it for X amount of time, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'll revisit it 90 days. Let's see where we at. Right? Is this benefiting, or is this taking up my time and not giving me any benefit? Right? If it's helping even one person, then is that a benefit? I believe so. If you jumped on this stream today and you're in here, if it's helping you, then it benefits because it's doing the job of the goal that I had, which is to help people become the best version of themselves. That was the goal. That was the goal. That still is the goal, right? Think, build, scale. That's all it is. Thanks for this. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that, Tosh. Appreciate that. But that's the goal of the channel. You know what I mean? The goal of the channel is to help each person become the best version of themselves. And if I can do that, then I've reached the goal. I've reached the goal. Now, the next thing comes in, well, how many can we reach? You know what I'm saying? Hey man, I appreciate you joining for real. I appreciate you becoming a part of the community. So that's noise. Like I said, it's noise, it's internal noise if you're dealing with perfectionism. Perfectionism doesn't help. Get whatever you're trying to do to good enough. Just get it to good enough and then put it out there. Let that bad boy fly. Let the world see what it is. Okay? So that's those internal noises that you deal with. So the next part that we're going to get into is really talking through the sense of opportunity noise, right? Because not everything is for you. Remember, we said that. We said noise is basically knowing, or excuse me, the ability to focus is knowing what things deserve your attention. Okay. And so if we talk about the noise, the things that don't deserve your attention, now we're in the section talking about opportunity noise. What is that? Opportunity noise is like, this is dangerous, right? Like, it's dangerous. That is an opportunity that exists for you, but it will put you in some sort of a danger. So that's noise, right? You shouldn't want to put yourself in any danger. You shouldn't want to put yourself in the crosshairs of the police or, gangs or any kind of organizations or whatever that ends up causing you your soul. Think about that. Things that can cost you your soul. You don't want to get into that, right? Because that's not going to help you get to your goal. So stray away from the noise of opportunities that are dangerous. Okay. The other one is maybe there's too many opportunities, right? Maybe too many opportunities are coming your way. Maybe you have too many ideas, right? Both of those are huge. Too many opportunities and too many ideas. That's huge. Those are the ones that can really get you sidetracked. Make you get defocused. You know what I mean? You don't want to be defocused. You want to be focused, and you can't be focused if you have all these opportunities and all of these ideas flooding. These are still the idea part is internal, right? The opportunities are external. Okay. So if you look at having a lot of opportunities that are coming your way, you have to realize what's important to you, right? Remember we talked about the whole looking in the mirror. That was a whole nother episode. We talked about looking in the mirror and really understanding who you are. Because once you understand who you are, then you can weed through the opportunities and you can weed through the ideas. Because just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's something for you to do. That may be an idea that you need to sell. That may be an idea that you need to give somebody else who's trying to do something and it fits for them. Just give them the idea. The more that you give away ideas, the more you'll get, right? Because you become a funnel. You're living in the flow, if you will, right? The flow of ideas. They'll keep on the creative flow, right? That the more you let go, the more comes in. You let go of an idea, it comes in. You build an idea, another one comes in. So not every idea is for you to do. Just the same way, flip it around from outside. Not every opportunity that comes your way is one for you. Know yourself. Figure out yourself. Write down your core values. What things do you believe in? What things do you know that you can stand on? What things are the things that make you tick, that make you feel good, that drive you forward? What are those things? So that way you can really be able to sift through the noise to figure out which opportunities are for you, which ideas are the ones that you should do, right? Because if you don't, and you don't even know yourself, what happens is now you have too many directions that you can go in, right? Your focus becomes separated, right? And if your focus is separated and it kind of smears the picture of your goal, then now that's the epitome and a perfect definition to me for defocus. And we defined it yesterday, but that's defocused, right? That's what it looks like when you turn the focus on the camera and it gets out of focus. Let me show you, okay? Here's defocused. Let's go to this camera here. Boom, side shot, right? If I do this right here, if I turn this lens, oh, I'm out of focus. The background's in focus, but I'm out, right? Which is causing your attention not to look at me, but to look at that, right? Which that's Eagles. Go Birds. If I go the other way, the whole scene's out of focus because the focus is up here, right? That's where the focus is. It's not here. It's not where I am, right? Defocused, right? So if now I do this, boom, I'm in focus, right? Crisp, clear, 1080p, 60 frames a second, I'm in clear focus, right? Boom. So my point that I'm getting at here is if you smear the image, you don't really know what the focus is, and you're, all over the place, because that's what the frame just did. It was all over the place, right? You saw it smeared. I appreciate you following Odd Life Gaming. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining in. We're talking about noise. We're talking about getting rid of the distractions, staying focused, right? But I was illustrating what defocus was. So defocus is just that, right? So if I go back to that camera, I'll show you again so that way we really kind of lock in on what that looks like, right? So if this is focus, I'm in focus right now. If you defocus the image, right? It's like that. It's all smeary, right? You can't really see like you're seeing everything all it's like wax, right? It's smeared because there's no focus. There's nothing in focus. But now the image becomes clear because there is something in focus, right? It's me. I'm in focus. And so if I'm in focus, then you can pay attention to what I'm saying. You can read my lips. You can, look at, I don't know, you can see the individual strands of my hair, right? Which is all over the place right now, but don't worry about that because we still getting this thing done. So my point is, I noticed you on the path to affiliate. Figured I'd show you some. I appreciate you showing me some support because that is my path. The path right now for the channel is to get to affiliate. It is. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard, especially with the type of content I'm doing, right? Like, because the type of content I want to do and the type of content I've been putting forth this effort into is to ensuring that people become the best version of themselves. Not because I'm forcing you, but because I'm leading you to information that is not only helping me, but as a byproduct, it helps you, especially if I'm learning on live. And a lot of times as I talk, I give myself the answer as I talk. That's why I talk on these things, right? And I've been doing this for years, like so, and not doing it on live, but I've been doing it for people, right? To my clients and my customers, they're always like, "Hey, I wish there was someplace I can go to just hear you talk because the things you be saying is like, wow, like I don't really get this from anywhere else." And so I was like, okay, maybe I might need to go ahead and and do this live because to me it's normal. To others, they're like, where did you even know this stuff from? And a lot of it, I think, is just based on me growing up and I pay attention to a lot of things and I connect a lot of dots. Like I literally am a dot connector. If I see something that is in this realm over here, I can connect that to this thing over here. And a lot of people won't see the connection, but I do because almost everything on this planet is connected. You just have to see how it is. You have to know this thing to even see the connection that exists in this thing. You know what I mean? Um, might make it easier if you turn off follower only chat. I, oh, I didn't think my chat was follow only. I thought my chat was yeah. Uh, if it's follow only, that's not what my intent was. Let's see what's going on with it then. Yeah, it is. Had to follow the chat. Oh, um I think the chat, the way that I did it was you had to at least have a verified email account with Twitch. I think that's how I set it up. Yeah, because what I see is follower only chat is off. Yeah, so I don't, maybe I have to look at it in the other on actual Twitch maybe. Um yeah, I mean on mine it doesn't say follower only's on. It says it's off. Maybe I need to turn it on and turn it back off. Let me see. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I turned it on and then turned it off. So I guess maybe it was stuck or something. I don't know. Because I think I turned it on or it was already on at first when I first started streaming, and so I've never changed it. But I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. But again, my community is really trying to just be the best version of ourselves, and I appreciate you giving me that heads up. You know what I'm saying? Um, oh, I appreciate that if you do. I appreciate that. Um, so where was I at? I was talking about defocus, right? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked, but I appreciate that. So it's not a bad thing. Because that was definitely something I needed to know. Because I did not know that was the reason. Appreciate the follow, Reaper Chris. Appreciate that, man. We talking noise over here, and what we're trying to do is get focus, right? And focus is not about concentration. It's about bringing your signal higher than noise floor, right? Because there's a noise floor that exists. That's people that want to try to, get your attention, right? We need to bring the signal higher than that. And so to do that, thanks for the love. Uh, so so to do that, what I'm saying is you can't do everything, right? You have to do the things that are important to you based on your values, based on what you feel is important in your life, what you want to make a priority in your life. Those are the things that are where you should focus on. If it's out of that realm, then what you're ending up doing is you're focusing on everything. And if you focus on everything, you'll do nothing. Okay? So that's the epitome of being focused, is to focus on the things that are important to you. It's not about concentration. Again, it's about focusing on what's important and knowing what things don't need your attention. Okay. And so as we went through that list, and I'm gonna suggest that if you're just joining, make sure you go back, watch the beginning, because I really been through a lot within this, trying to build up this understanding of what noise is. What are the things that actually constitute noise in your life, right? Because if you think about the things that cause you noise, those are the things that are distractions, right? They're huge distractions. So I would say, before giving your attention to something, ask this question. It's one simple question. You ask this question, and this can help you to know whether or not it's something worth giving your attention to. Okay? Here's the question. Does this move me closer to my goal? Whatever that thing is doing this thing, going this place, talking to this person, building this thing, is that moving you closer to what you've already decided your goal was, right? And you remember, on this channel, we've went all the way back. We started at goal setting. The very next thing we learned how to do was plan, right? And then we started talking through, trying to be disciplined, right? We talked through what motivation was. We talked through all of these subjects on this channel. And so now we got into the place of what focus was, right? After we understood how to make a good decision, then you have to know what focus is, because that's the only way you're going to stay on the path, right? You don't look at the trees, you stay on the path. We talked about that yesterday. And so now today, we're just going into, well, what is those things that are causing you to pay attention to that versus staying on the path, right? And that's why we are where we are. So now we're looking at, well, does this actually move me closer to my goal? That's the question that you have to ask yourself, because that'll tell you whether something else deserves your attention. If you don't, if it moves you closer to your goal, then that deserves your attention. If it's something that moves you further away from your goal or takes up your time, because one thing I really don't like is a compulsive time waster. I don't like compulsive time wasters. You want to talk about a grinding of a gear? Compulsive time wasters. People who just call you and sit on the phone, not really saying nothing. They're talking about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. They're trying to give, like, what do you call it? They're trying to tell you about things that have nothing to do with you, like other people's business and stuff. Like, I don't want to know their business. It ain't gonna help me make my goal. So I need to pay attention to things that help me make my goal. You know what I mean? That's what drives me. So ask yourself that question. Does this move me closer to my goal? Because if the answer is no, it's noise. No doubt about it. If it doesn't move you closer to your goal, it's noise. And remember what I said. That doesn't mean that your spouse is noise. That doesn't mean that your children are noise. That doesn't mean that your family is noise, though they can be. That doesn't mean it is. You have to look past the fact of, first, they're my family, so let me at least communicate, and then look at what's after that. What are they talking about right now? Because what they're talking about right now might be noise. but they're not noise, right? Francesco, what up, buddy? Hey, I see you. I see you that joined the chat. Hey, everybody. Francesco, that's my homie, okay? Francesco's my homie. He's been here with me almost from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? But noise is the opposite to beauty. It's the formal system to manage error in the different framework than to learn, but also to identify fears, vulnerabilities. So harmony is about learning from our potential and errors. Noise is about introspection. Okay, okay, interesting. Oh, you're saying harmony? Okay, what was the one? Yeah, man, all good vibes here. Hey, thanks for chatting. Also, Queen of Cake. So, okay, yes, noise is the opposite of beauty. Okay, yes, because noise can be ugly. But you got to remember now, don't get it twisted. Noise can be bottled up in beauty. Earlier, go back and watch this one because earlier I talked about the whole thing of the distractions that can come, what is actually noise, and we talked about emotional distractions, right? Emotional, what I call it? I called it emotional drama. Emotional drama that can be bottled up in a beautiful package. You know what I'm saying? Emotion because some people look very, very beautiful, but it's a distraction. That's why I said sometimes you got to find your person, right? You got to find your person early. So that way you don't have the noise of all of the beauty that does exist. Because that beauty can be noise, right? Hanging out at a strip club, that can be noise. Women are beautiful, but that can be noise. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's not moving you towards your goal. It's not getting you any closer to your goal, right? So here's some ways that we can block out the noise. Here's some ways that we can remove the noise from us, internal noise, right? Or even around us, right? The question is the very first thing. That question is the very first thing. Does this move me closer to my goal? Because if it says no, it's noise. You gotta shove it behind you. You know what I'm saying? You know how you do and you pass it back? I gotta pass on that. You know what I'm saying? Behind the back pass, shovel pass, gotta get it out of there. Okay? So here's some ways that we can remove the noise. How can we do that? We can, and I said this yesterday, some of it about focus, which is putting focus modes on your device, right? That clears out the electronic noise. If you use the focus mode, you can turn it on. It'll stop the notifications, stop the random things that you don't want at that time. But in your focus notification, choose the things that are important for you during that time or during that, if you're gonna leave it on for X amount of time, whatever that time is, then make sure that you let things come through that you need to come through and let the things that don't. Because my main focus mode that I have, my main focus that I have is one that still allows my family to call me. So like even right now while I'm streaming live, my family, if they call, it's still gonna ring me. It don't matter what mode I'm on, that they always get through. Why? Because they're priority to me. They're more important than anything else going on in this world. My family. So I need to make sure that I get that call. Can't miss that call, right? The next thing that you want to do, after the focus modes is scheduling time blocks. So you might want to figure out, well, during this time, what am I doing? During this time, what am I doing? This has to do with planning, right? That's how you can bring focus back. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're looking at, you know, uh, even in the planning part, when opportunities come, remember I told you opportunities will come, and ideas come, you have to learn how to say no. You have to turn up how many times that you say no. That's the only way that you're going to get focused is to turn it up. Say no more often. Because if you don't say no more often, what happens is it takes over your life. It gets you defocused. It causes you to be on some other path that you didn't even decide on. You didn't even build it for. You didn't even, plan for this. Now you're all over the place and you're not going towards your goal, right? You have to limit the amount of consumption you're doing on social media. because guaranteed that's taking you out of your focus. That's getting you all over the place. Okay. Then and this to me, even though I'm saying it last, it's the very first thing you need to do, which is define clear priorities. What is important in your life? That's the fastest way that you can remove noise. What's important? Because if you know that, you can recognize the rest as being noise. Okay. Yeah, let's go. So make sure you do that first. What are clear priorities in your life? Right? Because focus is not built by trying harder. That's not how you get to focus. It's not about trying harder. You can get to focus because you're removing all of the interference. You're removing all the noise. You're removing everything that is distracting you from reaching towards your goal. So for me, I believe that most people, they really can't focus because they keep getting distracted, right? And the reason why they get distracted is because they never identify what the actual noise in their life is. Because once you know the noise, you can actually block it. Okay? And then that's when the noise disappears and your progress through the roof. Through the roof. Now that's a real issue. Okay? I'll say that, Francesco. ADHD is a real issue. You know what I'm saying? It's a real issue, and sometimes that does cause you to have to use some sort of a medication or something like that, and that's understandable because that's an health issue, if you will, right? Like that's something that you didn't control. It's something that is just it. It just doesn't allow you to be able to focus as easily as someone who doesn't need it, right? However, I still believe that there are things that you can do that can help it even without the medicine, right? Which would be stuff like, recognizing, well, what's my priorities? What are things that are important to me, and making sure that you are bringing those things to the forefront. The things that's important to you, the things that's a priority for you, the things that you love, the things that you want to do is, with your dreams, aspirations, and goals. And once you can do that, then that way you can focus on those things. And when I say focus, it's not about concentration, because I think when you talk about the focus, I think you're talking about the medication, right? The medication does allow you to concentrate, right? It allows you to concentrate. But what I was saying, and I think you missed the beginning, Francesco, by the time you came in, focus is not necessarily concentration. It's more about knowing what things are causing you distraction. You know what I mean? Because if you can get rid of distraction, you can get to focus. What things aren't important? What things don't need your attention, right? Because and I said this earlier, so I'm gonna say it one more time. If you go to sleep in a house that you've never lived in before, right? There's sounds in that house that you've never heard at night. And when you hear those sounds, you don't know what those sounds are. So to you, everything requires your attention. But if you sleep in a house that you have lived in for years, those sounds still exist, sounds of that house, but it don't mean nothing to you because you know they're not sounds that require your attention, right? Exactly. Pills are not a solution, it's a tool to focus, but I still have to walk through life by myself. Exactly. 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 So listen, the whole thing today was trying to identify the enemy for you being focused, right? Because if yesterday was focus as a superpower, today is the real enemy of focus. What is that? Noise. Noise is the enemy of being able to be focused. And so today, what we're doing is identifying what the noise is. And for you to identify what your noise is in your life, make sure that you go now and figure out what's most important to you. What are your priorities? What are your goals? And what's the plan for you to reach those? Because if you know those four things, you can identify the noise immediately when it comes, and you can be like, nope. Remember, say no more often. Nope. Nope. Don't need that. Nope. Don't want that. Nope. That's not going to help me get closer to my goal. Nope. It makes it real easy to get rid of the noise once you identify what's important to you, what your priority is, what your goal is, and what your plan is. Know those things, noise can fade into the background and you won't even hear it. Just like them smoke detectors. I told y'all, go fix them smoke detectors. I don't like that beeping. I hear your videos. The world will appreciate the fact that you go today and fix those smoke detectors. So go make that happen. All right. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Thank you to all the new followers. I hope you got some good stuff out of this content. I hope you can actually subscribe. I got the ability for you to subscribe now. So please subscribe. If you have what is it, Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure that you come back tomorrow. We'll be on a whole nother topic. It's still going to be stacking up, right? Because we're trying to become the best version of ourselves, but we're looking at it from every angle as we can for us to actually deal with all the things that we consider issues in our life, and what things do we need to put in place as habits, as new understandings. That way we can build off of the new understandings and the new habits that we build and become better versions of ourselves. So when we're dealing with our family, when we're dealing with our friends, when we're dealing with new opportunities that are for us, well, one, we know what those are, and two, we know how to handle them, and three, we know how to present ourselves to get the best response from those around us. All right. So you too, Francesco, have an awesome day and an awesome week. I'm gonna push forward, and I hope to see y'all on the next one. You know who it is. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Follow your mans, and now you can subscribe. The Real Rich Bees. Rich Bees. See you next time. Rich Bees